Class, I want to be able to help you now in finishing writing your writing of a literature review paper. Just a couple things to note. Remember to utilize as a help the literature review guide that's been placed in Blackboard for you to process, and also the example papers that I've placed there, the work done by other students. Make sure that you do those two things. And also, if you have any other questions and have an opportunity, I would encourage you to go through Student Services and get some assistance through some tutoring that you might be able to acquire there, or help with writing this paper. Okay, well, this is our review guide that I've created, and you would have already done the second assignment, which would be the title of your paper, and all of that's included, as well as the abstract. And hopefully your work there, and then any corrections that I might have given, as well as other assistance that you might have been able to acquire, will give you a sense of confidence as you go forward, because I certainly want you to feel like you're learning how to do something, maybe brand new, but having the ability to move forward with some level of confidence. So, as you complete the paper, you're going to include these important bits of information. This is about your knowledge of what it is you were reviewing. So if you've been doing it on a particular disorder or other kind of issue related to psychology, that you would be able to understand what it is that you are writing about. It's to convey what you have learned. And particularly in a literature review assignment, rather than doing a large group of bits and facts about a topic, what you're going to be focusing in on is the aspects of particular kinds of research that was done on the topic, usually related to maybe the treatment of something. And what you need to be able to do is to understand why this research was done. What was the interest that the originators of this study used to start this? You might begin to look at the methods. Who were involved in the research? What sites were used to do this research? And then the participants, and some descriptions about those people that were studied. And then obviously to be able to understand not all the statistical information necessarily, but the conclusions that the researchers came to about the usefulness of what they were studying. So you're going to be doing this with two articles, basically demonstrating to the reader that you understand what the overall topic is, but then specifically what was done in this research. So again, it's very specific. You are reporting. I mentioned before in a previous tutorial that you are not creating information, you are rather reporting it. So anything that you state needs to be attributed to somebody's work. Even a simple definition needs to be cited according to where you got it. It can't be assumed that even if it's common knowledge, so to speak, that you're able to make this information up on your own. You have to cite where you got the definition or where you got the information. As a guide, overall, I would suggest that at the beginning and at the end, that you, even if it's the same article, that you document where this paragraph and the information from it comes from. And there are several ways that in the article you're able to, or in your work you're able to identify where something came from. So at least once in a paragraph, but I would suggest even going 2 times. Now obviously, if there's more than one bit of reference material from 2 different sites or 2 different places, then you're going to need to cite both in the article of your paper. So we go along here. Again, this is just helping you as you read this. Some other guidance, I'll let you go with that in terms of how things can be placed in here. Now the conclusion is something that I'm going to add for you, and this is going to show a little bit more of your own thinking, your critical analysis. which of these researchers seem to be more spot on with their assessment, and maybe some other general observations that you might have. It's not necessarily meant to be in depth, but it's just a more robust way of me knowing that you have read the material, understand it, and are able to sort of lay it out. This is what an employer would be interested in, or someone that would be needing to know what you know about information. I can go to a body of research, I can break it down, and I can share it with others. And this is something that's very important in the business world, educational world, wherever you're going, to be able to understand what is happening now in an area of research and how it can relate in the moment to what you might be doing or what others might be doing. So this is why I teach this. I want you to be able to have something that's valuable in terms of translating into how we're going to affect change in a particular area or at the particular issue. So in the conclusion, I want you to be able to show that you've understood this, your breakdown of the studies, and then again these observations. Remember though that you are still writing in the third person. So I want to go over and just show you a little bit of what the young lady did who was doing her report on video games and violence. As you can see up here, this is related to the software that helped her with her typing and would place things, page numbers, and other kinds of things that would help. And this was part of a template that she found on Word. Here's the title. Obviously it doesn't include her name or the affiliation or the class, but I can tell you that this was a class that she approached just like you, with a great deal of uncertainty about how to write. Just briefly, you can see her abstract here, and I will tell you this, that I corrected her abstract at several places that I thought would improve the writing, and she took those suggestions and really did well to complete the assignment. So we have the title and all of this laid out according to the margins that are laid out in APA format that would be helped out by the template guide that she used. And she begins to introduce the topic of what had happened, when it had happened, and even how she got this information. She got it from this article, and even though this isn't a referenced, or excuse me, even though this isn't a scientific journal, it's still usable in terms of just providing this background information, which made it very readable. I think it just sort of helped introduce things. You can see here that she's introduced the first study. Authors are named here. This is according to APA guide. And explaining some of the things that were used to study this. She began to talk about how noise blasts were used to demonstrate levels of aggression and how it would be projected on an opponent. So here, the first time that she did this, look, she's got all four authors. As she gets down here, from this point on, Engelhardt et al. That's the same article, beginning and ending of a paragraph. Doesn't have to be done always that way, but it is important that you include, as she did here, at least one citation, so that we know that she is not making this up. This is something that she is to be taking from the article. So you can see how it played out here. I would encourage you to look at these. And she moves into the second study very nicely and just again introduces what they were doing and how they were going to be studying the idea of aggression from this report. So we have all of this, and then we move to the conclusion. And she does this in a nice, succinct way. It's not overly stating everything that would say that this is definitely one is better than the other. It doesn't have to be that way. It's just a compilation of what she was able to take away from this. And again, I thought she did a nice job of summarizing some thoughts and in terms of her critical analysis. Now, she does include a citation here because this is a gaming site, I think, that she got some information from, but she did cite it, so we can look then in the reference page to see what this is all about. So even here, you can use citations. And let's just go to the reference page. The final page, notice 8 pages. That's really all that you need to do for this paper. You don't need to write any more than that to really cover a topic well. She's included a study here. This is a book. Here's another study from these reputable journals. And I know she did her research there. Here, this is this one that I had mentioned before. This was a website that she looked at, and that was acceptable in terms of just providing a little background on what had happened in Columbine. And then here are some others. Now, again, you need only have 3 references. She had, 6? So, again, it just added a different kind of a flavor. The last thing that I want to show you is this website. If you just go on to Google and you would type in the Purdue OWL, you will get the University of Purdue Online Writing Lab. And I will put a link up in our Blackboard for this. And you'll notice here on the left-hand side an APA guide. And as you go in here, the APA is the style of the American Psychological Association. So if you have questions about, gee, how should I cite this? What should I do? You can click on this, and there's a number of things that you can utilize. Bits of information about it. I think there's even a PowerPoint in here that you can pull down and look at, and this will help you with writing this paper. I also think it will help you with writing any research, because a lot of questions are answered. For instance, in-text citations, question, how do we do things? So again, it has to do with what are the basics on this page, and it leads you to looking at all of these things right here, and even going forward, all the other ways to include quotations and to do all kinds of citations. So anyway, I would encourage you to take advantage of this as well as any tutorials that I might put up, or as you might be able to find some tutorial help at the school. So again, good luck to you, and we'll